Welcome to Weekends with Whitney. Coming up in today's show, discovering your passion and a window into your soul at any age. We hit the stage with Austin Ventura. And others at Theater Baton Rouge, and discover how entertaining enlightens not only the audience, but themselves.
Just incredible. It really, you can obviously see the look on my face. I'm just like so amazed by everything that's just going on. It's crazy.
See all that's in store for 2020. Then Dr. Nick asks, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you were?
As we get older, even at 30, 40, 50, we begin to experience more and more of our limits. When we're adolescents, we don't feel limits.
No, that's true. Invincible.
Even when we're in our 20s, I don't know that we feel a lot of limitations. We see that world out there waiting for us.
Yeah.
And as we get older, that world becomes a little bit smaller. And I think we become more at peace with where we are.
But first, bringing new art, entertainment, and perspective into the new year. Years ago, Austin Ventura, an LSU kinesiology major, discovered an intrinsic part of himself: acting.
Hey, Jack, you still thinking?
Sure he is. Can't you smell smoke?
All right, here's the deal. If we don't sell papes, then no one sells papes. Nobody gets to that window till they put the price back where it belongs.
You mean like a strike, right?
Well, you heard Davey, we're on strike.
He took a class as an elective.
My teacher, Rick Holden, took a really good interest in me, and he believed in me to do theater, and then he convinced me to major in it. And so from then on, I just kept on doing it, and I worked my way up, and I became a theater major and really learned from some of the best people.
He also had to learn how to sing.
Newsboys Union and we mean business. Even though we ain't got hats or badges, we're a union just by saying so. And the world will know.
Have you always had an amazing voice? I thought it sounded spectacular.
Thank you. No. No.
How did you get there?
So I really started singing about 5 years ago, too.
Oh my gosh, everything was 5 years ago.
Yeah,
what were you doing beforehand?
So it all came kind of like at once when I really wanted to try it, and I was like, this is a lot. But like the first thing I had to do was I had to sing in front of people, and I'd never done it before, and it was just very nerve-wracking. But then I took lessons over the next couple of years, and just every show just tried to get better and better, and I'm constantly, daily, trying to find ways to improve my voice and how to take care of it.
It's paid off. He landed the lead role in Disney's musical Newsies at Theater Baton Rouge. Of all the roles that you've played here, or anywhere, how does this rank?
Number one, 100%. Yeah, it's a dream role.
Why?
I think just because of like the character and just the weight of him, just all the songs he gets to sing, obviously. Jack doesn't usually dance in every production, but for this one I just got to do everything, and it's so energetic, and Jack's character is so energetic. I love it.
The stage for Albert Nolan is like a second home.
In the morning,
just a few common sense gents. That's the bottom line. My mom put me on the stage when I was 6, and she was a singer as well. And she put me on the stage when I was 6, and I just kind of took off.
Instead of going off to college, Albert was off to New York City to pursue his acting career.
Short-lived.
Okay.
When I realized that there were a million of them. It wasn't just me. That's what I was very accustomed to. And my dad said, you can stay or you can come back and I'll take care of your college. So I came back and finished my college and made it a hobby.
He's a successful, sought-after interior designer and owner of Nolan Kimball Interiors. It provides Albert a comfortable income, unlike the uncertainty of acting in the Big Apple.
That was my dilemma in New York. I said I was not going to be a 50-year-old waiter. There's nothing wrong with that. That is not what I wanted for myself. Now I just order waiter.
Acting feeds his soul.
Too bad you don't jump jack, but you did resign. Too bad you put a family where you can't have mine. Be glad you're alive, boy, I'd say that's the bottom line.
This is now a very much mental and physical release for me. I come here, this is my happy place. It's a nice balance in my life where it's just a fun thing for me.
I love it.
People like to play golf, tennis, and I like to do this.
This is Grayson Baracco's first show with Theater Baton Rouge. He was introduced to theater 5 years ago with Christian Community Theater.
The first show I helped with, I was helping backstage. I kind of got to get a feel for what it was really like. I made the curtain go up and down for one of the shows, and I got to watch the whole show, and I was like, man, I kind of want to dance and sing too up there. And I got to do that the next show we did, and it was just like a virus. It just spread through me, and I had to keep doing it. And then throughout my family, they wanted to do it too. And we're just a theater family now.
In Newsies, Joey Roth's family, playing his little brother.
I think he's so fantastic and fun to be on stage with and just interact with, because he's such a great kid.
At just 13, Joey's already a great actor. Singer and dancer.
I was glad to see you put your tap dancing to
Yes, I love taps.
We first saw him tap dancing several years ago in an Arts Council summer workshop. Newsies presented a new set of challenges with a massive cast of 40 on stage together.
It's a lot of spatial awareness, knowing who you're around, what they're doing, what you're doing, and how to make it look amazing while being safe at the same time.
The high-rise scaffolding offered opportunity and obstacles. Artistic director Jenny Ballard says actors spent the last 6 of 12 weeks of rehearsal getting comfortable with it.
Some of them, when they got here, they embraced it 1,000% and were just climbing all over it. It was like a giant jungle gym for them. But then some of them, like I would have been, get up to the top and it's like, whew, this moves a lot. This moves a lot.
I suspected set designers had an easier job with this production than the elaborate set they constructed for another of their smashing musicals, Beauty and the Beast.
I I think all of us going into this were thinking the same thing. It's not going to be like Beauty and the Beast. In some ways, it was a lot easier. In some ways, it was a lot harder.
It was a beast.
Yeah, it was a beast. There's no doubt about it. It was a beast.
Undoubtedly, Newsies was a beast of a performance. Through dazzling dance and song, they brought to life the real-life story of New York City's 1899 newsboy strike against powerhouse publisher Joseph Pulitzer. The successful strike helped create America's first child labor laws. For Theater Baton Rouge, it was a successful 3-week sellout.
These kids knew every line and every inch of music, unbelievable, and just to watch them dance and just know that we have this much talent in this town and upcoming is unreal. So it's just been a delight to work with them.
This season is likely Thomas Luke's last for a while. Medical school is calling. But he'll return to the stage. It gives him balance.
I think being involved in theater is just, it has allowed me to balance out like two of my favorite sides of myself. Just being involved in science in school and being very analytical and versus the creative and communicative role that I play in theater. And it just kind of brings out the two best sides of me. We have to be imaginative and see things from different angles, and I think that's the #1 lesson that theater has taught me.
Theater's equally powerful for its audience. It takes us on a journey into different perspectives, ideas, and circumstances. It gives us human connection and raises our vibration. It can awaken, enlighten, and strengthen us.
There's just an energy that I've never seen before, and it's just amazing to be a part of. It's been an uplifting experience, and nothing, I think, to me right now will ever top it.
2020 might. Theater Baton Rouge is rolling out impressive productions in this new year. Their Young Actors program puts on Guys and Dolls at the end of this month through February 2nd. The Fox and the Fairway opens February 28th through mid-March. And in April, it's Anything Goes.
We're very excited about that. Of course, that's a big crowd pleaser, and that kind of falls into our classic category for the season.
You'll find even more of their 2020 shows across the web and social media. This year's season finale is the wildly popular 5-time Tony Award-winning musical, Matilda.
The show is very much driven by a cast of children. So that's going to be a blast for everyone who's involved in that. So it's always a passion of mine to get to work with kids. I think that they teach you so much. I think they remind the adult actors of why they got into this. They kind of get to see the process through their eyes. And for me, it's so rewarding to see them work so hard. And then at the end of all of this, kind of reap the rewards that they get to reap when the audiences come to see the shows. So I think Matilda is going to be another great example of that.
Their summer musicals have sold out 4 years in a row. So if you want tickets, don't wait. Audiences, like actors, keep coming back for more. Tickets are on sale now for their upcoming shows, including Guys and Dolls, Matilda, and others. To get your tickets, go to theaterbr.org. And still ahead, how old would you be if you didn't know how old you actually were. Dr. Nick probes the possibilities as Weekends with Whitney continues.
Louisiana's Old State Capitol educates the public on Louisiana's rich history and the democratic process through exhibits, programming, and the arts. The museum is dedicated to advancing the collection and preserving this national historic landmark. Visit LouisianaOldStateCapitol.org.
Question of, how old do you feel and how old would you be if you didn't know your age?
Break out of the chaos.
How old would you be if you didn't know how old you were? How old would you feel? Dr. Nick joins us this morning. He next month turns 65. Yeah. Do you feel 65?
Well, I guess that's why we're talking about it, because I'm really beginning to feel it. I am.
And I'm shocked to hear you say that.
I'm beginning to feel my age. I'm beginning to feel my age. But before we go into that, can I just say something else that just dawned on me as we were getting into this? Why is it that being 65 is considered bad? Why is it that 20 is so great? Why is it that 15 is so great, that 40 is so great, that as we get older, life doesn't get better? I just think there may be some bias against aging. Because slowing down physically doesn't necessarily mean one's slowing down spiritually or necessarily mentally or necessarily joyfully.
Right.
Maybe there's a joy that comes with being older. I mean, no, I don't feel 64. I don't feel 64, but I am.
Yeah. And you feel it. You feel closer to 64 now than you ever have, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do. Yeah. But I also feel that the value of that is that I just don't feel like I'm not pushed. I don't feel as compulsive.
Do you know that I have just felt that in the last year?
Talk to me.
I'm 52, and I've just felt in this last year like I'm not constantly pushing myself, and that I can really just have a lazy day.
Yes.
And that I really don't have to look at emails 3 times a day, which, by the way, have started to drive me crazy because there's so much spam and stuff in there. I'm almost over it. I'm almost just completely over emails. But it would panic me before if I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't checked it in 2 days. And I'm really okay with it now.
Good. Yeah, good for you. And didn't you say that, and again, I think you've said to me before that every once in a while you might feel an ache or some kind of,
I sleep on my back a lot. That
doesn't mean you're not in great health.
Oh, no, but I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh boy, I sure didn't move much last night. And yeah, lower back, I'm like, ow, and it takes a little while to go away. That's a sign that, you ain't what you used to be.
Yeah. So this question of, how old do you feel and how old would you be if you didn't know your age? I don't know, Whitney. I'm just really beginning to struggle with that. I could say to you that, okay, somebody might not feel 50 or I don't feel 40. Well, we catch up. Sometimes we have to catch up to the age.
Yes.
And that's, it's hard to explain, but it's like sometimes I do feel like 21 until I've had a couple of drinks and it's like, I don't want 3 more. I could have done that when I was 21, but I can't do that anymore. I don't want to. Just the whole, you said something I think that's important. As we get older, even at 30, 40, 50, we begin to experience more and more of our limits. When we're adolescents, we don't feel limits.
No, that's true. Invincible.
Even when we're in our 20s, I don't know that we feel a lot of limitations. We see that world out there waiting for us.
Yeah.
And as we get older, that world becomes a little bit smaller. And I think we become more at peace with where we are.
Yeah. I think we get a little more grounded in reality.
Grounded in reality.
Which is not a bad thing.
Grounded in reality. And maybe even more grounded in what we really like and want to do with the time that we have.
Great
we
point.
start making choices that fit in with, you know, I've only got this amount of time. I just think of when I was young, I thought I could do without sleep. Honey, I got to have 7 to 8. And at times I might take 9.
Right. do you ever think, so we're just being raw here, that you may only have 20 years left on this earth?
That's another interesting point. I was getting on the elevator a couple of days ago, and I was thinking to myself, I'm 64 years old and I'm tired. And all of a sudden it hit me. I might have 20 more years. Stop it, Nikki. Stop it. You may have 20 more. 20 years is a long time. Don't start thinking of it's the end. Think of what's that next chapter going to bring. And it probably will be different and slower and less expensive. Not that I live with a lot of spending, but
right.
You know, you got to kind of pull back as we get older.
Sure.
Because we don't know about health concerns.
Right.
You know, and long-term health problems. But it struck me that 20 years is a long time. I could live to 84. My uncle was 82 and doing great.
Uncle Jerry, yes, absolutely. But think of how far you came from when you were born to you were 20 years old. I mean, huge.
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Doesn't mean that you can't accomplish a little bit of that between the next 20 years. I mean, I'm saying you can do a lot in 20 years.
Yes.
You're not going to achieve that kind of growth and that kind of learning probably because you know so much and you've grown so much. But there's 20 years.
20 years.
You can do a ton of things.
There's another thing that strikes me that when we talk about age.
Okay.
I think that sometimes we get caught in, oh, I'm 64. You know, what do I have in common with a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old or even a 50-year-old? Okay, because I think that's crazy.
That is
I
crazy.
think we learn from every age group. We learn from every age group. We learn all sorts of stuff if we've got a curiosity and a desire to understand where people are living in that moment. And I think my nieces and nephews, I think they enjoy the fact that I talk about I'm older and my experiences of growing.
Of course they do.
And how I've learned and what I've learned. And don't you think?
Absolutely. And I know that
younger people really look to older?
Absolutely. And I know that you feed off of their experiences and what they're going through, and it's the fascination of their world.
I do. And what's most important about it is that people are suffering at every age. And I'm not trying to make this a downer. Everybody's struggling with something at every age. I don't need to try to be 40 anymore. 40 had its problems.
Yeah.
30 had it, right?
15 had its problems.
15
Let's think about those years.
And still does.
Yeah.
And still does. But there was something else we were talking about before the show, and that was that there's generational gaps. There are generational gaps, and sometimes we have to realize that we don't have a lot in common. Let's say if husband
you're not gonna date a 30-year-old.
Right. Well,
over my dead body.
But don't you also think that even 10 to 15 years gap in say a marriage, there's a little bit of a generational gap there.
Sure.
Now that doesn't mean it's not workable, but I'm just saying we realize, wow, I'm not there anymore.
Right, and yet there's 13 years difference between us, and I never feel a generational
There
gap.
is 13 years difference. Yes, I do. I do, yeah, because you don't ever want to come home. Now, you've gotten a little bit better, but there have been really many times when I've like, Whitney, we've got to go. I mean, I'm literally dragging you because and I'm
going to keep dancing. But in conversation, I bet you don't.
But there may be one other thing that we need to throw in to make sure that we're fair. I do believe that people can be very old and young at heart.
Yes.
And I love to be with people that I feel are young at heart. And I can't even explain it, Whitney, other than say I just know when I see it.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't you?
Absolutely.
I think of your mom and dad. You know, I think of my dad, just young at heart, just joy, just pure, all is well.
Yes, and speaking of joy, my grandmother's name was Joy, and after she died, we could all take something out of her. She was a poet, so something out of her office, and I took this, and I love it. And it's a quote by, and you're not going to believe it's a quote by Picasso, but it is, and it says, "It takes a long time to become young."
Oh, I love it.
Isn't that great?
I love it.
It takes a long time to become young.
I love it. So that helps explain why people will say sometimes, how young are you?
Yeah.
I'm 64 years young.
Yeah.
Or I'm 90 years young. Takes a long time to become young. It's a good one for an ending.
I love it.
Enjoy your age, everybody.
Thanks, Dr.
Don't you think?
Absolutely. More Weekends with Whitney after this. Atlas Foundation Repair, fixing your foundation problems for more than 30 years while preserving and protecting your trees. Thanks for sharing your time with us here on Weekends with Whitney. We love shining a spotlight on interesting people and places in and around South Louisiana. And if you have some in mind of your own that you think we should turn our cameras on, we'd love to hear from you. Just email me at whitney@weekendswithwhitney.net. Hope to see you back here again next week. But until then, we leave you with this.